This is the Real Estate Power Play Podcast, getting you the information that you need to be a successful real estate investor. Hosted by Mark Monroe, Ronald Walker, Gabe Rodarte, and me, Marty Grizzanti. Combined, we've done thousands of real estate transactions. So get ready for real stories and true case studies on finding deals, growing portfolios, and making money. Welcome to the show.
What's up, everybody? Good morning and good afternoon for those on the East Coast. Welcome to the Real Estate Power Play. We come to you live every Tuesday with a group of guys that just love talking about real estate and helping you grow your business and build your business. And so, guys, we have an awesome guest today, one of our good friends that we all of us connected together on just a mastermind group that we're all part of. And Chase is doing some pretty cool stuff. So we're going to go through that and get to hear a little bit about his story for those who want to understand how to go from single family, how to get into single family, all the way through the gamut of different things that he's doing now, which is a ton. So we'll be able to go through that. Before that, Mark, how you doing, man?
Whoops. Can you guys hear me okay? Sorry, I was on mute. I'm doing well. And you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. What's the update?
Yeah, can't complain. Just, been sharing all this lovely news of the home builders this morning back and forth and existing home sales. So, for all of you guys out there listening, it's going to be some great buying opportunity. The data came out this morning. Existing home sales last month were down over 20% in 1 month. And then the new home sales was down 12.8 or 12.3, something like that for the new construction. So that data just came out. So there's going to be some great buying opportunities out there.
Yeah, guys. So for those who are interested in that type of stuff, Mark loves this type of stuff. He's always up to date. He has his group of gurus around him also that help give him information too. So if you ever like talking about that stuff, Mark's your guy to go to. He normally updates me. The Houston market, I'm in the Houston metro area. There's still stuff happening over here, but the prices have changed a little bit. Other than that, guys, let's hop into this. I don't want to delay with my boy Chase. Dude, how you been, man?
Hey, guys, what's happening? I've been pretty good, actually. I've been trying to, 7 years into being an entrepreneur full time. I'm finally finding myself. It takes years and years and years. I had a buddy ask me the other day, he's just jumping ship from his W-2. And he said, man, how long does it take for you to start getting comfortable? I was like, pretty 7-8 years. And he was like, oh, I can't do that. So anyways, this sidebar there, but yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Just kind of finding my groove,
Yeah, no, this is good, guys. For those who, just the kind of a backstory that from our relationship with Chase, we joined a group a while ago, which goes back into networking and masterminds and stuff like that. It's a must, especially if you're just getting started and you need to build your database of friends, your database of contacts, your database of people who you can rely on and trust. And Chase is one of the guys that we all got to connect together. I remember him doing some of the trainings, right? Yeah. And I'm like, man, this guy is awesome. Like, I don't know who he is. I think he had long hair at the time. So it was like, it was a different season. Yeah, that's right. So I was like, man, this guy's just cool.
Yeah.
You also had didn't you have like a tattoo place parlor or something like that?
I do. I actually still do. I want to open a second one or maybe even a third one. I'm about to lease the space next door to it also and expand there, which I'm not a tattoo guy. I mean, I have a tattoo, but I had a friend of mine that was working under another shop, and he told me, he's like, man, how do you start a business? So I was going through it. I was explaining it to him. He's like, well, I really want to open my own shop, but I don't know how to do that. And so I went through this is how you start an LLC. You have to get a CPA to do this. You got to keep your books to do that. You got to determine how you're going to pay your employees. They 1099 them too. And so I was blowing his mind for probably a good year, maybe 2 years of him just asking me questions. And I said, dude, let's do this. I've got some extra cash. I'll fund the whole thing. I'll take a percentage of the business and we'll go together. I'll run everything. All you got to do is art. You got to focus on art and you got to focus on the right people in the right seats. And so all I did was to shorten it up is I bet on the right racehorse. And he is absolutely a fantastic racehorse to bet on because he's killing it. This last month we did $52,000 in a month in revenue.
Wow.
We usually average between $35,000 and $50,000 of revenue a month out of the shop.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's decent. It's not crazy, but I mean, dude, if I get 3 or 4 things, whoo, man. And I'm not a tattoo guy, but I like business and I like running businesses and I like people. I'm definitely a people person for sure. And so I can help him kind of navigate the waters of picking the right people, or, hey, this person doesn't fit our culture. It's not going to work, that kind of thing.
Right.
So I'm helping just mold and guide. And so far, most tattoo shops, most tattoo owners are not business people at all. There's something to be said about right brain people and left brain people, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
artists are very into their art, and rightfully so. That's great. But he wasn't a business person. He's not a business person. He doesn't want to run a business. He wants to focus on him owning his art and being the main guy at a shop. And he is right now. And that's what I'm allowing him to do. And I'm pushing him to, help putting him up on a pedestal. And the guys are doing great. I think we have like 10 artists and 2 or 3 apprentices in the shop, and we're busting at the seams. I need to rent the place next door and blow out my walls and make it a much larger facility. So anyways, yeah, it's the tattoo shop's going good, but in a big grand scheme of things, it's about maybe an hour of my week, maybe 2 hours of my week at max at most. So it's not even, not going to say it's not my focus. It's just not what takes my, it doesn't take my focus. Right.
Yeah. That you said something there was pretty key, is like, especially anybody who's listening to us and you're looking to start your business. And if you're weak at something and you have a different view, partner up with somebody that has a different, that offsets your weaknesses. So keep that in mind. There's no sense of both you guys being strong in one area. So find somebody that's weak in another area. That's a prime example right there. Because the artists, let's just look at these people that go on Shark Tank. They go on there, they have a certain vision, and they'll sit there and argue with the sharks. No, we got to do business this way. And they're kind of giving them advice because you can tell they don't have that business background. It just blows me away when they're just kind of they're trying to help them out and they're just kind of tunnel vision, like how that is. That's good stuff.
I've never been one to really, I mean, I try to be as well-rounded as possible, but if I'm weak at something, I've got to find the right person to help fill that void. Like, I am not great at, knowing exactly how to file my taxes. So I have a CPA. My CPA is licensed. He's a badass. He's great. And I use him because I'm weak in those areas, right?
Right.
I want to learn as much as possible. I know just enough to be dangerous with it, to kind of keep things in line. But for the most part, the areas that I'm weak in, I've got to find somebody to help back me up in. The areas that I'm strong in is where I'm going to focus 100%.
So let's go into just the real estate. So for those who don't know, you came from the oil industry, right?
Yeah, an important background even before that is AT&T, which created a corporate structure for me because I don't have any formal college education. Zero.
Got it.
None. So I had to go figure out how to structure through AT&T. AT&T is obviously a very large company, and I went through all sorts of trainings working with them for over 6 years. As far as management, as far as sales, as far as business to business relations, I became the business to business rep in my location, to where I was dealing with businesses like 5 to 30 units, right? 5 to 30 phones. So I was already communicating with other entrepreneurs and other business owners, and I knew what worked. I kind of learned in general through the sales side of things and communication with other business owners. I could hear from them what worked in their business and what didn't work in their business far before I ever owned a business. I went to the oil field to chase money and to chase just hustle, right? And I went out there and I hustled way too much. My best friend called me one day and said, "I've been to more of your kids' birthdays than you have. You got to chill." And so that hit me like a ton of bricks. Again, 6 years in the oil field as well. So I had to stop. I had to find something different. I bought a rent house. And then the next door neighbor, they moved out in the middle of the night next door of my rent house. So my tenant called me and said, "Hey, there's an old man here. He's freaking out. He's literally drinking beer and crying at 10 o'clock in the morning. You need to come talk to this guy." Went and talked to him, made him a deal on that house. So I owned 2 houses right next door to each other before I left the oil field. There's a couple other transactions in between there, but at that point, I was ready to go from the oil field. I just said, screw it, I'm going to leave.
Nice.
Couldn't afford it. Really probably should have stayed another 6 months in the oil field or something. But then again, in the big grand scheme of things, I kind of wish I started a business years and years and years and years earlier as well, to learn those mistakes and to jump those hurdles earlier on in life would have been a little better, a little easier. At this point, I already had 3 kids and a wife and expensive hobbies for my kids. And I already had a certain level that I had to be at. And leaving the oil field, getting paid primo, going to start your business and trying to figure out where your next paycheck is going to come from is some of the scariest, most stressful moments of my life.
Right.
So obviously we made it work
there.
Yeah.
So from there, you went there, left the oil field. Then what's next?
So it was single family, and I focused 100% on single family, only single family. I rented an office. I partnered up with a guy that I was also in the oil field with. Both of us liquidated our 401ks. We said, you know what, 401ks are up, they're down. I lost over $30,000 one year in my 401k, and I said, hey, never going back. I'm not gambling with my money, because that's basically what I felt like at the time I was doing in the stock market, was gambling. I'm giving it to someone else in hopes that it provides a return, and it never really did work out for me, nor did it my business partner at the time. So we liquidated. I pulled every bit of it out, and we started going to auctions, and I mean the foreclosure auctions, county tax auctions, that kind of thing. We bought some properties from the auction block. That could probably be a podcast in and of itself.
Right. Totally.
Because navigating rider redemptions, navigating liens, navigating how to research the liens, how to research the properties. I've bought properties with liens on them before. I've bought properties with the right of redemption before. I've bought properties that we thought was 5.21 acres, and it ended up being like 3.64 acres. And now I got to figure out where the other 1.5 acres went. How do I get it? Because that 1.5 acres had the house on it.
Oh gosh.
So now I'm freaking out. Like, I've been through all of that.
Right.
I've made some pretty major mistakes in purchasing foreclosures, that being one of them. Thankfully, we were able to rectify that and figure that one out with the previous homeowner, make them another offer. But yeah, so my first 3 years, from 2014, 2015, 2016 or so, 2017 is where I flipped 28 houses. It was about 28 houses in a year.
Nice.
But from 2014 to 2016, I'm buying and I'm trying to sell it. I'm struggling with contractors. They're either not showing up, they are showing up. 2016, I had a contractor take me for about 25 grand. He had a draw, and he just disappeared. He ghosted me. Wow. He did that to a whole lot of other investors as well. I'm like on this group of people that know of this contractor and stuff. So I've learned a lot of lessons. It took me the first 3 years really to fall on my face almost every single time in order to figure it out. But I'm super stubborn. Obviously, coming from the oil field, that helped the stubbornness portion of me. But in 2017, when we flipped those 28 houses, it was an eye-opener for me in multiple different ways. It was an eye-opener to know what I was capable of. It was also an eye-opener to know that was a lot more work than me personally. It didn't make a lot of money because there's ups and downs. Some of the houses you did well on, but what you would do was we almost got caught in a cycle. You would flip a house and then you would pour almost all of the proceeds from that property you needed to then close the next property. And then from that closing, you're growing, right? So now I've got 3 closings next week. Well, I'm only selling 1 house this week. Well, 100% of my proceeds, 100% of everything needs to go into those 3 closings. It's a beast. And in order to continue feeding that beast, you have to continue selling properties. So at the end of that year, really, it was probably March, April of the following year in 2018, when we're really looking back and we're thinking, man, do you want to continue working your ass off for what we made and continue growing this monster? Or do you want to just sustain it? Do you want to grab some more buy and holds, some more rentals? And that's when we decided, let's do some rentals, man. Rentals, man, that's the way to go. If I can pull $300 or $400 a month off of these rentals each. Let's start slowing down. We're not going to do a whole lot of flips. So we turned on a dime. I shut down my acquisitions. I had a few more dispositions, a few more sales to do. And as those sales would come through the pipeline, I would then pay off some private investors that we had. And then B, we'd buy a house. We'd buy an actual rent house. We built a portfolio of like 16 or 17 houses that we just held, that we kept as rentals. Not a lot, but again, that's 1 year. 4 years at this point in business, but 1 year really trying to grow a rental portfolio. So then at the end of that following year, that 2018 kind of time frame, things really started to pick up where, hey, we've got a little bit of extra money left over each month. We can pay to, let's increase our income a little bit. Let's have a company office where which we had already had a nice office before that. We've got a nicer office at this point. We started building up our expenses again. And next thing you know, by the end of 2018, we're like, man, we got a lot of overhead for some rent houses that are really easy to manage. We're flipping like maybe 4 or 5 houses a year, and they're covering our debt. They're covering it. But it just seemed like a cycle to me. It seemed like, man, I want to do something different. I want to figure out something different. April of 2019, I bought my first storage facility, which was right after this whole shift, right? My mindset shift of, I'm not sure that just holding, at this time, 13, 14, because I'd sold a couple single family houses. That's not a lot. There's not a lot of income off of it. It's some decent work every Friday, every weekend. You're going to get a phone call. Every month around the 1st, you're kind of hustling. You're trying to figure out where the rent is. Hey man, can I have 2 extra days? You're negotiating that. But pretty much from the 5th to the 25th, there's not a whole lot in between. So we would flip houses or do what we could. In that 2017, 2018 period, Gabe, I know you know this, Mark too, I bought 4 mobile home parks. I won't dive off a whole lot into that because I really wanted to shift into my storage facility stuff because it's primarily what takes my focus now. But I learned a lot on those mobile home parks. Again, kind of a mindset shift. If I'm not flip 27, 28 houses this year, what are we going to do? Well, mobile home parks sound good. I mean, you can pick up 24 houses on a 5-6 acre property and rent them all out. I learned the hard way that mobile home parks, again, are all work, a ton of work. The cash flow is high. I'm not going to lie. I probably made more cash flow on mobile home parks, but you're getting phone calls at 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. You're talking to tenants whose wife left them for a trailer, one of your other trailers in the park. I got bit by dogs walking out there, not on one occasion, 2, 3, 5, 6 times I got bit by dogs. Just in mobile home parks, people tend to own more dogs than people. They want, if they don't feel responsible enough to take care of their children, they're going to have 15 dogs in the house. And you're going to attempt to charge them every single pet fee. You're going to charge them daily for all those pet fees. They don't care. It's going to be an eviction. It's going to be an eviction. And then you're going to go through a 6-month process of the eviction because they know exactly how to appeal it in court and then play on all the COVID stuff. That stuff happened while I was trying to sell some mobile home parks. Anyways, some people love mobile home parks. I love selling them and never buying them again. I love selling my mobile home parks. That was fantastic to me. I made an amazing return. I bought a mobile home park in East Texas for $375. We turned around and sold it for $775 in about 2 years. So I do love selling mobile home parks. Operating mobile home parks, I'm out on. Like, Gabe, you call me tomorrow. Let's go buy a mobile home park for sure. I'll tell you and I'll coach you with as much as you want to know about operating it, but don't put me on the front line, man. Don't put me on the front line of those phone calls. I'm all about the returns. I'm telling you, mobile home parks can have some decent returns, but they are a dog to manage, man. So I knew, again, longevity, right? My mindset's like, what am I going to do for the next 30, 40 years? Because I'm young. Tomorrow's my birthday. I turn 34 tomorrow. So I'm young. I'm really young. I'm like, man, the next 30 years, what do I want to manage? Do I want to manage a mobile home park for the next 30 years? Hell no. Hell no. Do I want to manage?
So what do you want to manage? Come on, Jace. What do you want to manage?
Storage. So much easier.
Yeah.
light years easier. I don't have toilets, man. There's no toilets. You're not gonna flush your Legos down the toilet. There's no concrete getting poured down those toilets. Like, there's no toilets, man. And then there's no water. I don't even have a water bill on any of my storage sites. There's no water. You don't have a water bill. Your electricity. There's no electricity in our units outside of lighting. So you've got lights. Your lights are on a photo cell, right? So there's no lights during the day. You don't need them. You got the bright sun. But at night, all your lights turn on. We light up like a football field, like a stadium, right? So it's beautiful. But I don't have to worry about, hey, I don't have power in my unit. Well, we don't provide power in your unit. The RV spaces, right? Those do have power, but they rarely ever have any power issues, right? And if you own a $250,000 RV, you're going to pay your $150 lot rent, right? You're going to pay your monthly rent. You're going to pay your rent to store it, because when you're 5 days late, you can no longer access the gate. I lock you out. You can't type your code in. You can't even get in anymore. So like on the mobile home side, or even the single family side, I can't physically tell you, or I can't physically lock you out of your house. That's illegal. In the storage world, you're 5 days late, you can't get in the gate. It's trespassing. Completely different perspective, right? So it's easier significantly to manage. On the flip side, where you have 30, 40 tenants, you now have 200, 300, 400 tenants on one site. So there is a volume, but your volume is, hey, I'm going to be 2 days late on my payment. Or, hey, would I be able to pay this early? Or can you set me up on auto pay? Or, hey, my door doesn't open properly. Cool, I'll get a maintenance guy out there. Or, hey, my gate code doesn't work. Well, are you typing in £1 after you use your code? Like, super easy things to fix over the phone. With a mobile home park, everything is not an easy fix, right? It's always like, hey, my wife fell through the floor. How'd she fall through the floor, man? Well, she weighs 375. That's why she fell through the floor, right? So like mobile home parks were just completely different. It's just a different mindset. It's a whole lot of struggle. Single family seems to be much easier than mobile home parks. I'm going to keep my single family portfolio as it sits now. I'm actually news to you guys, and I'm working on it right now, but I'm buying out my original partner that I left the oil field with and that we built a single family portfolio with. I'm going to buy him out this year. I've already negotiated. We've already worked it out. We're working on it right now. What that does for me is it allows me to kind of sustain, kind of slow down, on as far as single family, and just maintain those single family houses, let them appreciate, collect some rent off of them. I'm not going to focus on building that business. That business is just primarily going to just appreciate, just pay me cash flow, collect the rent, and just appreciate. That's all I need it to do. What that also then allows me to do this year is shift gears by pouring into the things that I want to pour into. And this year, my focus is primarily building up people around me. So once you get to a certain, and I don't mean this selfishly or to say like I'm at a certain point, but once you get to a certain point mindset wise, all I want to do is make sure when I'm sitting on the beach, I want all of my best friends to be there with me. I want all my best friends to have the same availability in their schedule as well as their financials to be able to go with me and do things with me. So this year, or in the next couple of years, I'm focused on how do I bring people with me? How do I pour into others to help others build portfolios, to help others bring value, right? And I'm not saying everyone. I'm not just talking about pouring into everyone. There's some very specific people in my life, and I know you guys can probably think of at least 5 people in your own lives that you would want to come with you. If you're going to go on a freaking Norwegian cruise ship or whatever, if you're going to go on a cruise ship somewhere and sail off for 10 days, who's going to go with you? Only the people that have the time and the money, honestly, to be able to do that. So in order to get there, I've got to figure out how to build them up. So that's kind of my focus this year. I know we're kind of shifting gears here. I don't mean to do that to you, Gabe, but that's my focus is not just on any single one asset class. My focus is on how do I build up my best friends to where when we retire, We retire together and we retire good.
That's good, man. Guys, this is really good, guys. This is he went from 0 to 100 pretty quick, which is doesn't happen very often in our calls. But I love it because he's just sharing through the journey of the process. I think what is one of the things that you can say has been like just a freaking awesome lesson as you've gone through this process? And I know you've JV'd with other guys, you partnered. I think one of the things, and I'm going to answer one of them for you, is when I was buying my mobile home park, and you said something that actually changed my life. He's like, hey, if I were to ever do this again, I would freaking partner like 5 times to the next level. Like,
Right.
Don't even bother partnering with anybody who wants to do it. So, dude, you know what I did? And I hope some of those people are watching this, because I would go through and I interviewed 5 people walking my park, right? And I knew I was going to buy this thing. I knew it was a good deal. I had seller financing, no money out of pocket. I got money whenever we close. I mean, it was a good park, or it still is.
Yeah.
But everybody who walked it wanted to freaking double up on this thing, triple up. We could build this over here. We could build that over there. And only one guy walked it with me, and he goes, dude, this would be my 13th park.
Wow.
He's like, I wouldn't do any of this. I want to do this. I want to do that. And he told me everything opposite than the 4 other guys.
Right.
Right. And I go, I really like this guy.
That's experience.
That's and I'm like,
talking.
What would you want to do differently? He kind of told me, and he's like, this is what I do. Boom, boom, boom. Kind of told me the strategy. And I'm going, okay. And he's like, then with your extra time, let's go do something not even on this asset class. Like, we're picking something else with this extra time. Because he's like, you won't have to even think about this. This is going to be an 18-month journey.
Yeah.
Well, you really want to do an 18-month journey in this class and this type of, I'm like, man, like experience, right? And so one of the biggest lessons I've learned from you, and I've taken it to the next level, like everyone I go to, is that when you JV and you partner with someone, always partner up to the next level.
Absolutely.
Right. Like, partner with somebody who's just like would blow your socks away. You're the lowest guy on the ring. You're the smallest thinker in the room.
Yep.
And it's so awkward, right? It's so you're like, that you're like, you don't know crap compared to these guys.
It makes you hustle.
Oh yeah.
Now you got to keep up with that level.
The grind is different. The hustle is different, but man, there's also a reward, right? And so why don't we go into that, a little bit of that? Cause I think that's something that's missing in the whole real estate bubble, right? Of people just thinking, oh, I could just partner with some of my friends. Really, the next level is where you find some of those good friends.
Right. And so I've got Ryan Jackson, one of my good buddies, called me a partner whore there for a while, because I would just partner with whoever had a great idea and whoever I felt had hustle. That bit me a lot. But what I do know, like what I was telling you, Gabe, is I choose now moving forward, unless I've got a personal relationship and I've known that person for years, my partners have to have the same amount or greater hustle and experience as me. It's hard for me to partner with someone who doesn't have the same experience. I know other people will partner with anyone who brings value, and that's to each their own. For me, I want to partner with someone I'm going to learn from. I want to partner with someone that I have to keep up with their hustle. Like, I am trying to get up to their hustle. So I always want to partner up. The only exception I'm going to say this year again is because I've got some really close friends that I'm going to pour into this year. And the reason is because we're going to build our portfolios. My experience is going to help them with their time available and their hustle available. They have to provide value, though, right? And I know, having known these guys for 20 years, that they're going to provide value. Right. So that's kind of a little different shift that I have now. But in building and in moving forward, especially if I'm going to shift into a different asset class, such as storage. Dude, storage, I partnered with Dave Hale.
Right.
Dave Hale, I don't know who that is. I mean, he's going for $1 billion with a B. Like, he's massive. And so that's who I partnered with. And the reason I partnered with him specifically is because I found through another friend, Abel Singh, who's the CFO of our storage group. Through him, I found someone that is the best of the best in their asset class. I don't know of anyone that is better at storage or more knowledgeable at storage or even has or owns more storage personally than Dave Hale. That's who I
Yeah.
chose to partner with. Because someone like that has had more experience, probably forgotten more experience than I even know. And so I need that to help navigate the terrain, right? As we press forward in purchasing more assets, I want to be able to rub shoulders with him and pass ideas off to him. And he'll literally tell you, he's like, no, dude, that's stupid. Don't do that. Okay, man, you're right. And I listen. You're absolutely right because you've got the experience for it. If you're equally yoked with somebody and they tell you, no, let's not do that, you're gonna be like, dude, no, you're gonna start fighting.
Right.
If you partner with someone that knows what they're talking about, you need to have the humility to be able to
Humility.
say,
Yeah.
this dude knows what he's talking about. I don't need to be, I'm barking up the wrong tree with that direction. Let's shift. I agree with him. So, I mean, it doesn't mean that you can't have healthy tension. It doesn't mean that you can't have conversations and debates. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Dave's got more experience than I'll ever have at this point. So I choose to partner with people that know what they're doing, know what they're talking about. Kind of the 2014 timeline when we bought Yellow Jacket, just to give you a little summary. We bought Yellow Jacket for $880,000 in 2014. It's appraised now for just right at $5 million. So that's an acceleration. I would not have accelerated that by myself. I didn't know how to work on banking. I didn't know how to work on insurance. I didn't know how to work on appraisals. I didn't know how to work on optimizing a site, automating a site, putting everybody on auto pay, making sure people get locked out right on time. I didn't know all of the processes on my own that Dave has taught me to build a $5 million site out of $880,000 in 6 years, 5 years. That's a lot of millions.
Yeah.
There's a lot of zeros there. That's awesome. Yeah. That's exciting. I could not have done that by myself. Partnering with Dave helped me build that, and thus rolled some of that equity, rolled some of that cash into like 6 other sites now.
Nice.
So how does that work whenever you do that? So you partner with somebody, and this is for those who are listening to, right? So those who are wanting to just learn how to do this. Because I mean, we all have people. I have guys right now that are saying, hey, dude, send me the link when this is done. I can't watch it. I want it. I want to get involved. And the thing for me is that the hustle has to be there at a certain level. And I love to help people grow and build. But at the same time, I'm actually asking more and more of the people that want to come along beside me, because I'm like, look, I cannot slow down my momentum. Like it's go time. So you do this, you partner, you JV with people that are of this level or higher, and you're going after it. I love the philosophy. You acquire some property that was already some storage facilities. I think I went to Yellow Jacket with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the one that we saw. You built it out. Great. So after the build out, are you refinancing? Are you pulling some cash out of it? Or are you just leaving it alone?
So every situation's different. It's a unique asset class in that you do still have a lot of variables. For us, I don't sell. We're not going to sell anything. So the goal is to leverage up after we build. So you go back to the bank, you refinance, and you can pull cash to then either roll into another property or then build more onto that base. So we bought right originally. We bought it right with and waited a couple of years for some appreciation. Got a larger appraisal. We were able to get a loan from the bank to build onto that site. We built onto that site for obviously less than what the bank funded. We then turned around and refinanced. We were able to pull out a much larger amount. Again, you're never leveraging more than 65, 70%, something like that against the total asset value. And again, those numbers are very loose. I've got a site where we're leveraged like 46%. Then you've got other sites where you're leveraged like 80 something percent, like 80%, 83%, right? So it just depends on the banking. It depends on where you're at and what's going on. Honestly, for me, I should have, looking back, I would have leveraged every single house and every single property I had as much as possible to be as liquid as possible moving forward. Let me unwrap that a little bit.
Yeah.
If I could buy every single house, that my first house is on Sunnybrook here in Burleson. I paid $64,000 for it back in 2014. It's now worth $250,000.
Yeah.
If I could go up to my eyeballs in debt and buy $1 million, $2, $3, $4 million worth of $64,000 houses, I'd be a tenfold millionaire today.
Right.
I mean, I would have just absolutely slammed it. But at the time, perception is everything, right? At that time, I was like, oh, $64,000 for this house. That's a little tight, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to put 30 grand in renovations and only be able to rent it for $900 a month. Well, now it's a $1,500, $1,600 rental.
Right.
3-1. Like, I would do that all day. I'd buy 100 of them if I could. Coming back to storage, it really depends on that exact situation and in that exact scenario with where you're at in it. But if I've got 3 more properties in the pipeline to purchase, I'm going to leverage this one to the hilt because I'll go all in. I'll go all in on this property so that I can then snowball into these 3 more properties.
Right.
So again, I am holding equity in all of our sites, waiting for the next deal. Right. So that's kind of the mindset, is you're ready to snowball into another deal. So some of them are leveraged, some of them aren't leveraged.
Isn't it so amazing though? Like when I look at it this way, remember the mindset that you just got done saying. For those who don't hear it, it's the mindset of the snowball effect is going to happen either for you or against you.
Right.
Right. Before, and because I've been there too, where you're snowballing a flip into another flip into another flip. But it's a snowball effect, guys. If you don't understand that part, it's the same thing with everything else. Life's going to happen. I mean, you have the flat tire, and that's one of the things that, like, when people get upset at their contractors for having a flat tire or not showing up, whatever, I'm like, look, life happens for them just as much as it happens for you. There's going to be something that happens, right? And then you're like, oh, crap. It starts tumbling backwards, or it could tumble forwards for you. And you got to make that decision. When you look at these other plays, right? So we're talking about long-term stuff. Hold on one second. These long-term stuff. You're now snowballing into another bigger asset. And that's the coolest thing, right? And so whenever, so I have a friend of mine, he has probably about 200 doors. And he's like, look, man, at this point, I don't really care. Like when it comes to the cash flow, it needs a cash flow to take care of some of the debt and all the other stuff, but you're really making $100, $200 a month, even today, right? I mean, if you're buying something today, but the refi is worth so much more.
Tax-free.
Yeah. I mean, the refi is ridiculous, and that's where stuff goes on. And I was just sharing with my wife some of the assets that we have. I go, hey, this one, I would like this one to be my daughter's college fund. Yeah. And I'm like, this is where it's at right now. This is what we could be doing. Let's protect it. Let's keep it. And the day that we need to move forward in that, let's grab those funds and move it forward. The other side of it, of going, man, you bet all day long, if there's some really cool deal right now, I'm pulling that, I'm refinancing that property, because you know that things naturally go up in value, even in down markets, even, recession, whatever you want to call it, long term. Because that's the game that we're in. We joke around in because I do have mobile home parks and stuff, is that like, hey, 12 years is not that, 12 months is not that long. Like 1 year in real estate happens pretty fast. Right. And so when you look at these things, I like to see what you just said and just really share that for those who are listening, of going, guys, this is golden stuff. Right. And if I would have known this, like, years ago, I would have fought differently. I would have fought a different fight. Right. I wasn't the guy that believed, like, there's, I have engineer friends and guys who are like, they're like down to like, I know the 0.5% or the 0.25%. I know exactly where this is going in 10 years from now. Man, I'm a grinder by trade, guys. Like I've done the sales, I've done the marketing. I love what I do. I came from construction background. So it took me a little bit of time. I think it took a little longer than what I wish it would have. But man, when I started seeing the power of refinancing and the power of assets, and then you have a different generation who might say, hey, make sure everything's paid off. And I'm just going, yeah, but I could use that, at the time, 3% refi money, right? That you're moving into a bigger asset and you don't have to pay taxes on it, right? And that's the craziest part. So now that we're all caught up, right? This is the mentality.
Right.
Now we're caught up to the Chase standard, all right, of this conversation. Chase, what are you seeing next? Now you're helping other people, but because I might have a couple people later on that says they want to be your best friend now,
right?
Want to connect with you.
Of course.
Yeah. But like, what do you see now as far as your facilities and what you're looking for now as far as real estate investing and saying, okay, cool, this does work. I've done 3-4 years of this track history. What have you learned through this process right where you are now with that refi and reinvesting and going that?
So one of the, I'll be very vague here, but I'll kind of unpack it. What's enough? How much is enough?
Right.
At what point do you say that I'm comfortable? And at what point do you say, now how do I pour into others? Right. And that's a different answer for literally everyone. Everyone's going to have a different answer. Somebody might say, me being comfortable is just so I can leave my $30,000 a year job. And that's cool. Some people might say, I want to make $10 million a year. And that's cool. Good luck spending that. But like, some people have different standards. And so for me moving forward, I've kind of shifted from last year and the year before that and the year before that. Right now, I want to make sure that the assets that I currently have are optimized and running at the most efficient levels they possibly can. The reason for that is because what I currently have just in storage is easily 2 to 3 times what my oil field income was. Just in storage, not including the Wild Rooster tattoo shop, not including my single family portfolio, not including I'm buying another small business in Cleveland with a couple of buddies. So like I've got a lot of other side projects, but storage alone has been a blessing enough to help provide me with enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward, to answer your question, I'm not necessarily as excited about expanding quickly and rapidly as much as I want to focus on what I have and focus in building people up around me. So I've got some longtime best friends that have been asking me for years, why don't we do a deal together? They brought me deals, they brought me potential deals. And I'm always quick to say, I'm focused on something else, or I'm already working on this. I can't focus on that right now. I don't have enough time for it, blah, blah, blah. Well, moving forward, that's my shift, is that I want to have time for those best friends and let's build something. Let's make something work.
Dude. Love it.
And that's kind of my shift right now moving forward. To answer your question though, organically, I think I'll still buy 1 to 2, maybe 3 facilities a year, just organically. I've got a broker friend. This will kind of unpack how I started purchasing, or how I purchased my Springtown facility. I had a hustler broker call me at my Yellow Jacket facility, my Cleveland facility, and he asked if I'd be interested in selling. But I get 100 of these calls. This guy was different. Just his communication, his presentation, the way he presented himself. He was a hustler and he didn't want to stop. He wanted to know what our price was. He wanted to know what it was going to take to sell. He wanted to understand our business model and understand. And I spent a lot of time on the phone with him. So I flipped the script. I said, I'll tell you what, how about you buy for me? You buy for me. Go find something and I will buy it. I am a guaranteed buyer. I will close on it. Give me on commercial deals. You usually want to have 20, 30 days in due diligence and 20, 30 days to close it. So I said, give me 45 to 60 days with whatever we find. We're going to close it. But know that I am a closer. We will get it done. Here's your parameters. Dude went out and hustled for about 4 or 5 months. I probably walked a dozen properties with him. When we walked Springtown, I'm looking around thinking, this is a steal of a deal. He walked away. My broker walked away with a $55,000 check. I walked away with a new facility. On the next one, I already offered it to him. I said, dude, let's partner on the next one. You find one, instead of taking a $55,000 check, let's partner on it. Yeah. I don't know if he'll take that. He sees what kind of hustle it takes, because when I partner, I don't carry baggage. I don't carry people that sit on a passive note, right? When I carry someone, it's either A, you are an absolute silent investor and I don't hear from you. Or B, you're hustling right alongside me and there's expectations. You can't be in between. There is no in between.
Right.
So that's kind of what I explained to him. I was like, hey, if we're going to start finding new facilities, anyways, moving forward, he's been sending me facilities probably once a week, and I'll tell him what's wrong with them, or I'll tell him, hey, this is great. This is what I'm looking for. So I already know, just based off the network and based off the properties I'm analyzing right now, without me really pushing or hustling, I'll probably close one or two maybe facilities each year. This year I closed Burleson. Springtown was in September of last
Now,
year.
are you mainly focused on Texas? It sounds like he does a lot of Texas stuff. Is that just Texas, or are you starting to branch out, or you do have some outside of the state?
So I'm looking in Tulsa. I'm looking in Oklahoma, looking in Oklahoma City. Definitely looking in the Houston area as well. I've got a partner out there. East Texas, we just bought 3 in East Texas. So I am primarily all over Texas. My partners, however, they're all over the nation. I've got partners in Florida. I've got partners in Minnesota. Like, I've got partners all over the place.
So when you say partners, for those who are listening to this, because I think that's one of the things people don't understand, is that you don't necessarily have to have one big massive company and you have 5-6 partners into it.
No,
it actually could go by the facility. Each facility has its own set of partners.
Yep.
If you choose to do it that way. And I think that people get stuck in that of going, man, I got to find that perfect guy that does whatever. And I'm like, well, if the perfect guy that you're waiting for is 3 years out, dude, go to work now. JV with someone. It's okay to have 10% of a deal, you know, and how that gets all set up. I think what happens is we get caught up in those numbers and not in the idea of going, dude, even if you had 10% of a storage facility that kicked butt, how much did you learn within that time frame?
Right.
Like, probably the value is way more than 10%, right?
Well,
because this is important, right? So
sorry,
go ahead. Well, no, I was just wanted to finish it out. I was just going to say that I see people get mentally stuck in that place, right? Of not understanding what kind of, like, how do those things work? And really, I mean, I have, like I said, some of my parks, my partners don't even talk to each other. Right. Because it's a different partner over here who's a pro in this area than compared to this other one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've got a site where I have 2 other partners on. It's me and 2 others. And then I've got sites where it's like me and 4 or 5 others.
Right.
So that's just to kind of, show you the inside of that. It just depends on the deal as well. If you've got a massive, $5, $6, $7 million storage facility, I want someone to partner with that can handle the banking and insurance side of things. I want someone to partner with that can handle the QuickBooks, the bookkeeping, the CPA, the individual taxes, all that. And then I want an operator, which is typically me and my team. And when I say team, I've got an admin. I hired my dad last year, actually 2 years ago. So that's another cool thing moving forward is I might end up like maybe hiring my mom, or maybe hiring somebody else in my family, or maybe hiring somebody else, one of my close friends in the future, to help build their value as well. But my team is the management portion of most of our facilities. So I want to be able to partner with people that provide a certain amount of value. I get a ton of people, and I mean a ton of people that reach out to me, hey, check this deal out, let's partner on it. And it doesn't ever get unboxed or unpackaged from there, because people send me stuff all the time. You got to tell me why this is good, why it's important, what we're going to do with it, and what role you play. Because finding a deal is easy. It's not easy. It's an easier part of the total package, right? Finding the deal can represent a finder's fee, or it can represent a small equity portion, right? But you've got to be able to sell that deal and say, listen, the reason I like this deal is because we can add on another 40,000 square foot onto this facility because it has extra land. The other reason I like this deal is because the rents are really low on it, and we can build rents to X amount, which is then adding value to the property. The other reason I like this property is because we're already picking it up at a steal of a deal, right? So sell the property. You got to tell me why we're interested in this property, because I get a ton of people that just send me a listing. I don't look at it. I'll be honest with you. If somebody sends me a listing, I'm not even going to look. Like, it's just not worth my time. You got to unbox it for me. Tell me the reason we're going to buy this property moving forward. So again, back to your question, I'll buy 1 to 2 storage facilities, maybe 3 a year. Looking to probably expand my tattoo shop. I'll probably add 1 or 2, maybe 3 single families, maybe over the next 1.5 years, 2 years to my portfolio, just slowly, organically build. I am not in this hustle, grind, add 27 houses to my portfolio, add 5 or 6 more storage facilities. I'm not in that grind anymore. I was in
Right.
that grind for 5-6 years. I'm not there
Yeah.
anymore. Now
Yep.
I am optimize and organically grow. Build right.
Love it.
Is what I'm doing now.
Love it, dude. Love it. So for those who are listening and want to know how to build right, guys, the only issue here is that Chase is like, dude, I already have a busy life. I'm not helping out 50 other people. But this is, you guys got to listen to this again, especially if you want to know how to do it. And for those who don't know, he's clearly stated in the beginning, I want to know how to be a better business owner. Right.
Yep.
And that's one of the key things. I think that's one of the things I didn't do in the very beginning. I was just trying to figure out how to pay the bills. I was just going, I want something where I could be around my family. I could see them. Right. And I wasn't gone. I even joke, like I tell my kids, I'm like, every time I see someone on a Saturday, right now we're in there's still builds going around our neighborhood and stuff. And so I tell the kids on a Saturday or a Sunday, if I see a builder out there or something, I'm going, hey, listen, we're not far away from whenever that used to happen.
Right.
I would be out there hustling, getting the guys ready or picking up their junk or having the hot shot crews drop off material. Like, it had to be there, count them, make sure that it was done right, all that junk, dude. And so when I share with people, I'm like, listen, dude, man, my life is so good and I can do so much more. And we are like, there's so many cool things that we're doing. But at the same time, it's also being content where you are. It's also looking and growing and saying, I want to build a great business, right? And what are the key components of that? Man, I had no clue what the key components were. And now that we're at a certain place, I'm like, I know these components, I know the people. And I, like we talked about before, I have a network of people around me that can get me answers quicker, right? And I think that's one of the things that, you know, for those who are coming up, who are learning maybe from wholesaling to single family, maybe just trying to get started, trying to figure out how to make it all work, or they're excited about storage facilities. Really, it's building that network around you, the people around you that you can count on over and over and over again, right? And so I get it. If you guys are just getting involved and you want to send some information to Chase, or you want to send some stuff to us, we see it. If you want a quick tip, be very thorough in your communication, right?
Yep.
Don't overload someone's email, but what you could do is just do bullet points of like, hey, this is what I provide. This is my service. This is what I can do. If you're interested, I'm able to. One of my major mentors came from me doing that every month, sending him my business breakdown in bullet point form, maybe 5 to 10 bullet points a month. And that's it. And then within like 12 months, it took a while because he was so busy, but within 12 months, now I could call him any moment I need to. I'm in a pinch, or, hey, I'm hiring another team member, or, hey, what kind of seat member would you put in this type of seat? Like, what's your perspective? Well, you know, like that's what you need to do. Whether you do it or not is up to you. But these are just key things that I get from Chase. Guys, how old are you, Chase?
Tomorrow I turn 34.
34 tomorrow, right?
Yep.
You have a family, 3 kids. Your oldest is how old?
He's 14.
So oldest is 14.
Yeah.
Youngest is
6.
So guys, this is so basically Chase is living the same life I'm living, except he's like
every day
7 years younger than me. So he's totally got it down, guy. I love it, man. Dude, any parting words that you could just send out to encourage people?
Yeah, I definitely want to encourage people to continue to reach out to people whom they think can be mentors. But first, make sure you check that what you're asking isn't already readily available. It's not readily available on websites like Bigger Pockets. Websites, I mean, you could go to Google. I had to research everything on my own. I listened to every single Bigger Pockets podcast. I listened to every and I don't mean to plug them. I didn't mean that. But I mean, in order for me to know where I was going, I had to do a ton of research before I even reached out to anybody to help me. So I want to encourage you to obviously first research what you're looking into and the direction you want to go. If you do reach out, I would love to hear from people. What my focus on this year is I just bought a beach house. In Panama City Beach, Florida. I'm super excited about it. Here's the thing, that beach house won't pay for itself. So what I'm going to do is I want to bring other like-minded individuals, and I want to bring other investors and other people who are looking to build their business. I want to start mentoring them, but I also want to start going out to my beach house. And what we're going to do is I'm going to get, 5, 6, 7, 8 people, individuals. And I'm going to probably once a quarter, maybe a little more than that. I'm going to start going to my beach house. It sleeps 16 people. It's right in Panama City Beach, Florida. Got my own private pool in the backyard. It's amazing. I'm absolutely excited about that. But that's what I want to start doing. I want to start having masterminds. I want to start working with people that are like-minded and want to help build, if someone can provide value, like Gabe was saying, if there's a way that you can provide value, that you think you can provide value for me or one of the people in my network, reach out. Let's go have a weekend at the beach house. Let's go have a week at the beach house anytime. So that's kind of another thing. That's my plug. I wanted to say is
that's awesome.
I want to start getting some masterminds and some networking events together out there. That's what we bought the beach house for. I want to keep it booked. I want to keep it going. But also, if you've got storage facility ideas, if you've got some potential properties, if you've got a tattoo shop location, if you've got I would say mobile home park, but as long as you're going to run it or somebody that is, I'm interested in mentoring or partnering on those as well. Single families within the DFW area, I'm interested in purchasing. Other than that, good luck to all. Let's keep moving forward. I'm an open book, as Gabe knows. You can call me anytime, and I'll pour my heart into it. But let's obviously be aware that there's a limited amount of time. So.
That's right, man. That's right. Guys, this has been awesome. This is definitely one of those shows that you want to go and listen to again and just kind of see the process of how it all goes, because there's not many people we get on. We could get really grainy on some of these things, and I know that whenever the power play guys with me, Mark, Marty, Ronnie, we get on here and we could get granular to help you go through some of the steps that you have to take, right? But this is some really cool high level stuff that I love. I just love talking to Chase about it because it doesn't happen often where someone's willing to just go high level and say, this is pretty much what you're going to need. So go back, re-listen to this thing, share it with a friend of yours. We appreciate you guys. Love you. Peace out. See you.
Thank you.
This has been another episode of Real Estate Power Play, guiding real estate entrepreneurs to a brighter future. If you liked what you heard, consider subscribing wherever you listen to your podcast or follow us on YouTube at Real Estate Power Play.